So I'll record now. So for those of you that didn't manage to make it today, this is a recording of our food audit. So this is a new way of looking at nutrition rather than just talking about a topic that comes up on feedback forms or whatnot. This hopefully is going to be a little bit more of a proactive approach at tackling nutrition because a lot of the time people ask for recipes, but it's unlikely you're going to follow a recipe. I probably have followed like 10 recipes in my entire life. So usually what we need to do is just adapt the foods that we already eat because we're not going to change our habits. It's unlikely to change our habits, especially when it comes to food. So all we need to do is look at what we are currently eating, see how we can make some additions, and then that's probably the best approach to tackle that nutrition side. We'll trial it. If it doesn't work, then we can do something else because there's a million ways that we can do nutrition. And again, like as I mentioned before, I'm starting to fall back in love with nutrition again after kind of studying it for so long. I'm kind of getting that spark back, so I kind of want to be a little bit more proactive with this stuff now. So if you're active on Instagram, then you've seen this one already. I was actually really excited to do this. Again, like really bad annotations. I just quickly threw like some circles in, but I'll talk through each thought and kind of motion. So first of all was no names named. So the first one was logging it at 5:51 p.m. So this obviously indicates it's breakfast. It obviously indicates that it wasn't logged as you had your breakfast. Um, First of all, well done for logging. Most people wouldn't have done it or they would have forgot. So that's actually a green tick. That's a good thing. Um, the downside to that is that you're not going to remember everything that you ate or consumed or added to the meal. So for sure, like, and this is kind of the same as having macronutrients and micronutrients, is that you've logged all of the macro, like the big stuff, but all the small stuff that you forget about that actually adds up has been forgotten. So the bread, like, was there butter with it? Was there ketchup with it? Was there any type of condiment? Um, was there a cup of tea? Was there a cup of coffee? They can round up to about 100 calories at a time. So they're little small details within the kind of food diaries that we need to look out for, and ones that always get missed. So by the way, like even even when we do like super strict dieting and tracking, people will still forget this. Like you've got pro bodybuilders, maybe not pro bodybuilders, but you got people who are like competitive bodybuilders who will still not log like their butter or olive oil and stuff like that. So it's not like a downside or like a negative reflection, but it is something to look at nonetheless. So by tracking on the time, you're more likely to remember the things like the sugar in the coffee or the spread of butter on the bread or stuff like that. So that's the first one is the time of tracking. Second thing was the 14 grams of protein, which again, perfectly fine. Like 14 grams of protein is actually still decent. Where we'd like to be, especially for recovery, muscle building, is 20 grams of protein, at least per meal. Obviously, the overwhelming thing that we want, or the thing we want at the end of the day, is the actual full protein target. So as long as you get there, that's the most important thing. But it's ideal if you get the 20 grams of protein per meal because then it's steadily fed throughout the day. So how do we improve that? Is obviously I've circled the one large egg. So rather than having one large egg, if we have three, we then instantly get our 18 grams of protein because on average it's about six per egg. So we get 18 grams of protein, and obviously if we minus six from the 14 grams, then we can assume that there's an additional 8 grams of protein from the bread, banana, and apple, and what else was tracked. So you're then looking at 24 grams of protein or such from that meal, which is then looking a lot better. um, and again, well done for the banana and the apple. Again, good source of the carbohydrates, good energies to start the day, good for your micronutrients as well, and yeah, it keeps the fats low. So actually overall, great meal. Just a small improvement just to increase the protein, and then obviously the timing of the tracking as well. So that's a good one. Next, we move on to the carbonara. So this is the same person. Don't feel like I'm attacking you. I'm not. I just picked two people and I just picked random meals. So there's two ways to look at this, and again, I try and be as considerate as possible. So the carbonara, there's two ways that you can log this. You can either log it as an assumed meal on the app, which is what most people do, or you could have added your own recipe and then you've logged it. So let's just assume that you've gone for the generic carbonara, which might have happened, or you might have scanned it. I don't know. But like, let's just say that it's gone for like a generic carbonara. First of all, we don't actually know that. Like, we don't even know that's like anywhere near what was actually consumed. Again, well done for logging it. Most people don't. So at least you have an idea. Um, we're assuming that there's 34 grams of protein there. There's a good balance of carbohydrates and there's a decent amount of fat as well. So it is like well done for recording it, but what else is missing? So in an ideal world or an ideal setting, what you would do is you'd list each part of the carbonara. And again, that can be really challenging. And I get that, especially if you're kind of just if especially if you kind of eat um with a lot of people, or maybe you went out for a meal and you had a carbonara. Like, how are you supposed to estimate or guess what's there? So there's two ways. One way, take a picture, upload it to ChatGPT, and ask it to estimate the calories. And then what you can do is then go onto the app and then log each one. Or you might have already cross-referenced that. I don't know. But that's one way that you could do that, and then you can log that on the app. Or what you can do is just as time goes on, you get pretty good at guessing. And what I would do is either what I would do is I'd be really strict from breakfast to lunch, and then I'd bank maybe like 1,000 calories. And then when I go out for dinner, I wouldn't log what I had, but I know that I had banked 1,000 calories. And then when I'm picking down the menu, I'd kind of accumulate that 1,000 calories in my head, for example. And again, I don't know what the situation here is, but that's how I would personally tackle it. Alongside that, obviously, we don't know what type of drinks. So, like, let's assume the person went out or they logged like the best guess of what they had. Was there any fizzy drinks involved? Was there any additional condiments? Carbonara, was there any like side plates or anything like that? All things to be considered. Again, it always depends on your goal. So if you're in kind of like a gaining phase or trying to grow muscle, they're not as serious. But obviously, if you're in a weight loss phase, then this is really, really important details. So try and break it down as much as possible to get the most accurate result. The more in detail you are, the better the results, more accurate results you will get. And that's quite simple. Next one um, is pretty good. There's a lot of green there, which is kind of misleading because there's obviously some things that we need to kind of go over. So 100 grams of protein, great, fantastic. So obviously that's a really good kickstart to the day if you're having 100 grams of protein at lunch. And that's by having 400 grams of diced chicken breast fillets. So yeah, good option. It's also breast fillets, so it's a lean meat. It's not like a thigh that carries a lot of fat. So it was definitely the better option of chicken to go for. Um, and then we've got the egg fried microwave rice. Again, great option because you went for the egg fried, which then has more protein. So well done for that. And it's half the pack because usually when you go for the full pack, it ends up being like quite a lot of carbs and the whole meal becomes very difficult to eat. So 40 grams of carbs, again, is a great little boost, especially in the middle of the day, just to get you going. So a great amount of carbs to have there. Um, Downside, and as you can see, there's like a little bowl of salad there, is that, there is, in terms of like an overall perspective, where's the salad? Where's the vegetable? We need to make sure that we're having these things so we can boost our immune system, helps with recovery, helps with so many things on our day-to-day basis. So if it's vitamin D, that can help with your mood. If it's, so many different things without going crazy into it. Um, we need to have that addition. And especially again, if we're looking at a weight loss phase, then, at the end of the day, although we say 101 grams of protein is good, that's still, 400 calories. As you can see there, it's still 429 calories, right? And if we're having like another 100 grams of protein at the end of the day, that's another 400 calories. And if you're trying to have, I don't know, like let's say 1,800 calories a day, then obviously you've only got 1,000 calories left for your carbohydrates and your fats. And especially when it comes to fats, they're double the amount of calories and then the other stuff. So that adds up pretty quickly. So it's good for having more protein. It's one of those annoying things. It's like, but you say you eat more protein. I'm eating more protein. Like, where did I go wrong? You didn't go wrong. It's just that we still need to be careful and we need to be mindful that protein is still calories. So it's a better option to have. You might have felt fuller for the rest of the day. But another alternative way of doing that is actually by increasing the volume of food um, that we eat. So by having loads and loads of veg, we also feel a lot more satiated. We feel like we've eaten more. So then we're not kind of grabbing for the snacks and that. So what I would personally do is I would split that diced chicken breast. Because I'm pretty sure I don't know 100%. I'm pretty sure from this like there was a lunch, a dinner, and a snack added. There wasn't a breakfast. So what I would do is try and spread that protein throughout the day. I think the next one is linked to this day. I'd spread that protein throughout the day, and actually see if you needed it or not. Because a little bit of salad or that would have helped kind of that feeling of being full. And also you need the micronutrients that come with the salad. Um, Otherwise, a good example of a meal, egg fried rice. But again, going back, was there any sauces with that? Was there any like fizzy drinks? Was there a coffee? Was there a tea? Like, what did you have to drink? Was it even things like squash? You know, that like it's a carbohydrate drink. It refuels your sugars, so there's going to be calories there. If it's water, then all good. But there's small details that are missing there. Then we go on to our fourth one, which is actually our final one. I didn't go like crazy into it. I just thought I'd do four things: a breakfast, some lunches, and a dinner, just so it kind of covers what a day would look like for most people. And then in the future, if we get feedback, then we can do a few more. If anyone wants to put their hand up and go forward with like a full day, then we can do that as well. But the dinner here, again, similar situation. Sesame chicken fillet, good, 200. Chicken fillet, 205 grams, 53 grams of protein. Yep, that's about right. Sorry, I don't know why my mind just froze then. I was trying to like read it. And I was like, wait, something's not adding up. Yeah, so 50 grams of protein, perfect. About 200 grams of a meat per meal actually is a lot easier to eat as well. You might actually find when you have like 400 grams of a meat, it actually becomes quite difficult to eat. It becomes a little bit of a task. Not for everyone. For some people, it's easy. And for me, I don't find it too much of a struggle. But for some people, they'll struggle to have that much protein in one sitting. So that 200 grams seems to be the sweet spot in terms of having a high protein meal and being able to eat it and digest it without feeling like absolutely wiped out and slapped in the face by eating loads of food. The white wraps, so four wraps. Again, I can only imagine that, you know, the chicken was then put into wraps and then you had kind of like a chicken wrap for dinner. Um, what I would personally do, and again, this is I'm giving feedback about what I would do. Of course, I would add some salad in there or some vegetables, and I think that's the overall goal at the end of the day. But I would actually just load up two wraps and have them more chunky. If you're terrible at wrapping, then I'm sorry, but that is also a you problem. Um, just fill the wrap out and then you can eradicate. So, like, let's just say, for example, there's 700 calories. You divide that by four. Um, Jesus, let's just say it's 170-ish or 160, whatever, calories. You've then eradicated like almost like 300 calories from the day just by loading your wrap up more rather than having it split up between four wraps. And again, that's a lot of calories. So, um, and again, you kind of reduce that carbohydrate percentage. So rather than having it at 61%, it would kind of look more like a 30, then your protein percent would go up because of the balance of the meal. So um, add some vegetables or add some salad into that wrap. You may not have. Um, oh, it's a TGI sesame chicken fillet. So okay, I know you're in the Zoom. So if you confirm, is the TGI because you went out to eat at TGI's? Because then, yeah, then I'd be curious because obviously then you didn't actually choose to make that. That's just how it was. Um, but yeah, again, what I would do is I'd load it up in the wrap and then I'd have two wraps, and then you can kind of get rid of those extra carbohydrates. So that's what I would do personally. Um, So yeah, and then obviously make sure that you're kind of logging those sources, logging any of the extra drinks or anything like that that you have along with the meal. Um, so yeah, that's the first kind of episode or the go over of a food audit. Hopefully there's some things there that have kind of you've gone, oh, okay, like I didn't think about that, or I haven't logged that before, or maybe you've gone, oh, you absolute wanker, like I always log my sources and stuff, and this is the one time I didn't that you picked out. That's just the way life goes, eh? But yeah, they're just some things that I would pick up if, especially some of you may not be, but especially if you're on a weight loss journey, those things are really important. But for most of it, look, the tracking's good. It's just how can we get to that next step that's going to get you to that next goal. And if you're on kind of like the 1% talk a while ago, then that's the 1% that you're looking for and what you need. So hopefully this helped out a little bit. It's given some insight and any feedback, either if you're watching on YouTube, leave it in the comment below. If you're watching it from the group, then let us know. And if you're in the chat, we can have a chat about it now. I will stop the recording. Hopefully that helps. Uh, stop recording.